No secrets, no empires, just an all-American hero, fighting American. Available October 11th. Wait a minute, how did I miss this book? So let's get into this. Fighting American was created by the legendary team of Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. The pair created the character in response to Atlas Comics, now known as Marvel Comics, publishing a new Captain America story without them. The comic became a satirical take on the McCarthy anti-communist era of the 1950s. That's where the new series picks up. From Titan Comics' website, direct continuation of Simon and Kirby's classic series, Fighting American returns. When the 1950 heroes find themselves trapped in a modern world, how will they handle what society has become, and what dangers will they face? With modern-day heroes to contend with, enemies from their past pursuing them, and a whole new world to come to terms with, what daring adventures could Fighting American and Speed Boy find themselves in now? Well, commies, trannies, and selfies for one. So let's start with the art. Duke Maiden draws the series, except for a few pages in the third issue. Those are drawn by P.C. De La Fuente. Maiden's style is like a cross between John Romita Jr. and a general Golden Age look. I like it, but it's really quirky. Maiden does a great job with conniving smiles and crazy details. I mean, look at that commie's face. All hairy and foreign. Maiden's really good with the layouts for the panels as well. You can follow the story with each shot. His backgrounds are a little hit or miss. Sometimes they're well done, sometimes not. There are some weird parts to his style. He likes to use extreme angles and expressions, and that can come off as awkward and kind of creepy. And look at this one. That's just a little weird. There are also some consistency issues. Some panels look professional while others look rushed or poorly drawn. It jumps from page to page, sometimes even panel to panel, so it's noticeable. That could be a time management thing, or he may have drawn the pages out of sequence and made the changes as he went along. One thing he does well is taking risks with angles and shots. For every static shot he draws, there's about 2 or 3 dynamic ones that mostly work. That's refreshing in the age of side-scrolling Tumblr art. I'd rather an artist try something interesting that misses the mark than what looks like a chalk outline of a Barbie doll. As for the story, Gordon Rennie gives us a tongue-in-cheek jab at modern comics. It's still a satire, but it's got a little parody in it too. It actually parodies the source material. Fighting American is ultra-American. Like if American were a drug, this dude is about to OD. His dialogue is intentionally silly and over-the-top old-fashioned. He says things like beatnik, while Speed Boy can't help but drop hot slang like golly gee. I saw a bleeding cool review of the book where the writer didn't get the ultra-conservative thing as part of the joke. Just like the insanity of the 1950s communists fighting American battles. I mean really, what communist ever said anything like sacred Lenin's tomb? It's so ridiculous that you know it's a joke. The satire is actually the approach to the comic itself. Rennie pokes at the silliness of modern progressive comics by inverting what they do in their own books. That's why Fighting American is so extreme. Part of it is that he probably would have been that patriotic at the time. He acts and talks like a walking 1950s propaganda commercial. The other part is that if you invert his personality, you get Sam Wilson's not actually Captain America. That's part of the charm of the book. Rennie's taking it to the progressive writers who take themselves too seriously, and I'm sure a lot of the humor of what he's doing will go right past them. The funny part is that only the characters from the 1950s, Fighting American, Speed Boy, and Poison Ivan, are this extreme. Everyone else is played straight. That lets the reader enjoy the silliness of the situation, and it also allows for some basic fish-out-of-water humor. So let's get into the story. It picks up with Fighting American and Speed Boy appearing in 2017 thanks to Professor Dial Twister and his time machine. They're chasing after Poison Ivan and his commie henchmen. Right from the start you get some crazy dialogue. The henchman says that shouldn't there be rocket ships? And Ivan bitch slaps him and says, "Fool you are, to believe such capitalist fantasies." Then a time portal opens and we get that wonderful sacred Lenin's tomb line as Fighting American and Speed Boy come through. They make short work of Ivan's crew, which becomes a problem because Fighting American doesn't know what Ivan's up to. He'd ask a henchman, but he's knocked them all out. He admits, maybe I should stop punching these commie-turned creeps so hard. Just genius. Ivan calls up his 21st century contact Madame Chaos while Rick and Morty explain the time travel situation to Fighting American and Speed Boy. What we see is that Professor Twister is an abusive jerk to his nephew Gregory. Fighting American sees some of this, but like many people from the 1950s, doesn't see a problem with popping a mouthy boy trying to get attention. The pair go back to their time, but not before Professor Twister tells Fighting American about a button on this wristband he gives him that will help explain the time travel situation better. And he tells them that he's going to leave the hero some crime fighting equipment in a safety deposit box. Fighting American and Speed Boy go searching for Ivan and they get their first taste of 2017. And boy, what a taste. Look at that. Right up the... Wait. What the fuck is going on with her ankles? Seriously, your ankles aren't supposed to have that many creases. It's like she's got vaginas on her ankles. She's got vajankles. So by pure coincidence, Ivan hails a cab directly across the street from our heroes. Fighting American chases after the cab while Speed Boy can barely pull himself away from the scattered ass on display. Go on, boy, stop looking at Faye Dunaway's vajankles and help your man. They chase after Ivan's cab, jumping off of the car roofs. And they're fucking up the roofs because the cars are made out of tissue paper today. The best part is that they're so used to destroying property that the government's giving them a card to hand out to pay for damages. Brilliant. Now during this whole chase, the wristband that Professor Twister gave Fighting American auto starts and explains that he's got 3 days to find Ivan before the portal opens again to take him and Speed Boy back to the past. The professor warns him not to draw attention to himself, so of course, Fighting American lands right in front of a camera. Everybody starts taking pics with their cell phones, but our heroes don't have a clue what's going on. They spot Ivan, who bumps into a group of cosplayers who look like broke-off SJW Avengers. We get our first clear shot of Madame Chaos, the woman behind Ivan's time traveling. She tosses a bomb at Fighting American. He snatches fake Thor's hammer and knocks the bomb out of the way. The cops show up and try to stop Fighting American, but he just brushes them off because, quote, "Duty never stops for we watchmen on the walls of liberty." It's so cheesy, I love it. Then he gives back the hammer to broke-off Thor and says, "Thank you, sir. Hope you and your friends get to your fancy chess ball safely." Dude, you're dressed as badly as they are. But it's a great moment to show how different Fighting American and Speed Boy think about themselves compared to the modern view of them. They try to go back to their headquarters, but the building's been replaced. They end up going to this bank to get the crime fighting equipment that the professor left for them, but instead of finding any equipment, they find pictures of Chaos Lad murdering Professor Twister, trapping our heroes in 2017. And before they can do anything, the cops show up. That's pretty much the first issue. I don't want to spoil the other two issues, so I'm not going to do a total rundown. The gist is Fighting American finds out that his former FBI contact is dead and gets assigned a new girl contact named Lydia Rutherford. She tries warming up to Fighting American, but he really sticks to the script, so she's not quite breaking through. She does have this one awesome scene where she finally brings up the weird thing about Fighting American. She's like, "Oh my god, are you really walking around in the body of your dead brother?" Because that's exactly what's happened. Basically, take the Captain America origin, but instead of Steve getting the injection, scientists used Nelson Flagg's dead brother's body for the injection and then swap his mind into his dead brother's body. Why they couldn't just make Nelson Flagg the Fighting American in his own body isn't explained, but that's the charm. When the idea is that silly, you just let it go. We also get some background on the villain Madame Chaos and her plot with Chaos Lad. They use Ivan to trick Fighting American into the future, letting Chaos Lad have 63 years to set up their real, still unrevealed plan. So while Agent Rutherford is trying to make Fighting American and Speed Boy look like normal humans, Madame Chaos and Chaos Lad set their plot in motion. And boy, do they look evil. Do you see it? Do you see it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, the balls. The balls on Gordon Rennie. The ginormous balls that Chaos Lad no longer has. Oh yeah, Rennie made the villain transgender. Can you hear it? Can you hear it? The sound of thousands of SJW tears pitter-patting on their smartphones as they hate tweet about this. Oh, just brilliant. And you know what I love? Unlike all those shitty SJW writers, Rennie doesn't say a fucking word about it. The whole transgender thing never pops up in the story. So far, none of the characters have said anything about the switch. It's treated as if it's just something that Gregory did as he grew up. We even get a nice montage in issue 3 of his changes over the years, with clear nods to silly villain costumes from those decades. Not only is this character super interesting, Madame Chaos keeps her dead uncle in a giant glass tube right where she killed him. Something's broken in this person to make them do that. But the sex change is also not in your face. Rennie doesn't stop the story to mention that the character had a sex change. So far, that's not important to the story, so it's not mentioned, just shown in the most logical way. She was once a he, and our heroes don't know this. That's it. We also don't know if the sex change was because Gregory is actually transgender or if it's just part of the plan to throw off Fighting American. From what we've seen, Chaos Lad or Madame Chaos is crazy enough to pull a Finkel and Einhorn move. But I do hope Speedboy falls for Madame Chaos just for the crying game scene. I love this book. I really love this book. I'm sorry I missed it when it first came out. I totally forgot that it was coming out. It's fun. It takes some good jabs. Yeah, it's got a few art and narrative flow problems, but nothing that makes the book unreadable or unenjoyable. Maybe that inconsistent art might throw some people off, and the tone of the book might go over some people's heads. Outside of that, it's a good middle-run book. To give it a film reference, it's like Robin Hood Men in Tights. It's fun as long as you're not expecting too much of it. I say check it out if you got the extra $4 to spare. If you've read it already, let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for listening.